Alright, so moving on to our next Patreon request of the day, and this one comes from Lamonta Benson, who asked me to talk about 10 ships that I don't vibe with. A couple weeks ago, I did for Valentine's Day, I did like 10 of my favorite ships in cartoons. And this will not be just cartoons, this will actually have some comics too. But as you can see from this title, it's ships I don't vibe with. So yeah. As always, if you guys would like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link in the description box below. Head on over to my Patreon, hit the third tier, that'll allow you access to do so. But other than that, let's get started. And I'm going to go with a disclaimer is that this is just my personal opinion. If you think a ship should be on this list or not, that's totally fine. Some of these are official ships. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. Some of these are, in fact, official ships that I just don't vibe with and just do not like for various reasons, which I will get into. If you like these ships, let me make this clear. If you like these ships, totally fine. I'm not, like, everyone's entitled to like what they like. I just have my own personal opinions as to why I don't like these. It's also not a top 10 list. This is just 10 ships I just do not care for in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, let's get into it. Starting off with our first one, right out the gate, Ulrich and Yumi. I have talked at length about Ulrich and Yumi multiple times of how much I don't like it. They're toxic for each other. There isn't really any romance. It's just them, looking at each other like a couple of angsty teens and then fighting for half a goddamn episode, or even 2, 3. Like, it gets old. Like, it is just, they are so bad for each other. They are so awful for each other. It's annoying. And look, going back and watching old episodes of Code Lyoko, it's really bad. There's a reason why I like Ulrich and Sissy. And yeah, they have their problems. I'm not going to stand on business and try to be like, no, Ulrich and Sissy are like way more compatible. They are, but they have their problems too. But it's way more fixable with those two. Ulrich and Yumi, there is nothing but just shit talk. There is just nothing but toxicity all around. So yeah, and yes, I do have them written down on my phone because God knows I'd forget. So yeah, we're off to a great start, ladies and gentlemen. Next up, Lance and Allura from Voltron Legendary Defenders. Oh boy, I'm going to be honest with you all. I never cared for it because it's so out of left field. Like, it only happens in the last 2 seasons, and it feels forced. And you could say, oh, but Lance always had a crush on Allura. And it was always kind of like that at the beginning. Yeah, but then that plot line got left behind. And if anything, Keith and Lance made more sense. I don't particularly like that ship either, but like Keith and Lance made way more sense. Even the show hinted at it in several like official stuff. Like, it was always like, maybe they'll bang, maybe they won't. And I'm like, either do it or don't. All right, do it or don't. That was my whole thing with Keith and Lance. It was just like, just do it or not, okay? I'm so goddamn sick of that. But yeah, getting back to Lance and Allura. Lance and Allura just did not make any sense. It felt really rushed. And yeah, they were friends, and it's sad that, Allura dies at the end of the show. But like, at the same time, I'm just kind of the mindset of, I felt nothing. I just feel nothing about it. Anyway. Next up, oh dear, this is going to get me in trouble. Adora and Catra. Okay, hold on, wait, hold on, stop. No, you don't want to do this. I have been a good boy. I have been such a good boy. No, you don't want to do this. So, I'm going to have to, like, do some mental gymnastics as to explain as to why I have never really cared much about, I don't care much for this pairing. I really don't, on a multitude of levels. Now, granted, I will admit, I don't hate this as much as I used to, because, like, there are reasons as to why I never really liked Catra and Adora. Yes, it was, like, OTP and all that, and I do admit the fandom has fixed a lot of the problems I've had with it, with good writing and whatnot. But I'm going to tell you right now, there are so many problems with it, and also, like, I'm not saying, like, oh, it's 2 girls, no. a lot of my ships are Yuri-centric if you've been on this channel. The reason why I don't like it is because it ignores all the toxicity that Catra did. Like, she broke the goddamn universe because she was obsessed with keeping Adora and also keeping her under her thumb. It wasn't even romantic. It was more like, I want control over you. That even, like, LGBT or not, that's really not okay. Like, yeah. And you could also make the argument that, yes, Catra's abuse from Shadow Weaver and Hordak was, what was also kind of a big problem. But at the same time, you can't just have that be an excuse. Sometimes, just because, yeah, you were abused, and if you were abused, and if you had that trauma, yeah, that really sucks. And also, it does play into a factor of how you act as a person, but at the same time, you can't use that as a crutch for everything. You cannot use that as a crutch when you're being a despicable piece of shit. Like, yeah, you can't do that. It sucks, and we're all sorry for it that you went through that, but at the same time, that doesn't give you the right to kill people. Kill people who weren't affected by your trauma. It really bothers me that people just glance over that, of how, like, when you really get down to it, of how obsessive and toxic Catra is as a person for Adora. And how much Adora was willing to give so much rope to Catra through all of it. So, yeah. There are better videos out there to explain this better than I have, but me personally, I've just felt like it just feels wrong. Like, it just feels wrong on those levels that we just don't talk about or glance over Catra's just the diabolical shit she did the first two seasons. Even, like, in the final seasons, like, she did some shit just to hurt Adora. Like, yeah, that's not love. I don't know what to tell you. Anyway. Now comes another one. Dipper and Pacifica. This one is just boring to me. Like, I don't like it on the grounds of it's just fucking boring to me. And it feels like it comes out of nowhere, really, because, like, Dipper and Pacifica doesn't really make sense to me. Like, if anything, Mabel and Pacifica, almost said Dipper and Mabel, Dipper and Mabel, I did it, yep, Mabel and Pacifica, bleh. Mabel and Pacifica made way more sense to me. They had more screen time, their personalities worked off each other better, and they also had, like, there was, like, it seemed like that was, like, the plot line was more like Pacifica was more in Mabel's wheelhouse of characters than she was with Dipper. Like, when we got to Mystery at the that Mystery at the Manor episode, it just felt like, why does Dipper have this axe to grind against? I mean, yeah, she was mean to his sister and all that, but, like, she was never directed at her, and, like, I don't get where this anger comes from. He was just supporting his sister. I don't get where this anger comes from. Is it just, like, enemies to lovers? I don't get it. So, yeah, I just thought it was boring. Also, Dipper and Wendy made more sense to me on so many levels. It just made way more sense to me. I mean, yeah, there's the age difference, but, like, as I've said, it's only, like, 3 years. If she was, like, and I've talked about this more in length, it's like, if Wendy was more, like, in her 20s and Dipper was at that age, then I'll be like, nah, no touchy. But if, it's only a 3-year gap at most. 2 if you really want to be pedantic, but still, Mabel and Pacifica made way more sense to me as a couple, because, again, Mabel was able to be the one to help Pacifica, like, kind of break that kind of control over her parents, and Pacifica also, like, seemed to enjoy her time with Mabel. So I don't get it. I don't know if, yeah, thank God we had Lumity, because it just feels like Mabel and Pacifica, but with magic. So, yeah. Anyway. Moving on now to Manny and Frida. Manny and Frida, oh boy. Now, this one you could argue is like, that didn't really happen, but you can clearly see at the final episode where Frida, like, kisses Manny out of nowhere. Yeah. I never liked that ship because maybe if this is just more of personal bias than anything else, I do not care much for Frida as a character. I really don't have any she's annoying. She's just way too annoying, and maybe it's just that I like Batman and Catwoman, but I do not like. I vibe more with Manny and Zoe than I do Frida and Manny. It just to me it always felt like, yeah, I don't like. It just felt like two hyperactive kids just feeding off of each other, and also most of the time Frida got Manny into trouble more than Manny got himself into trouble. It really feels like that half the goddamn time. Yeah. So, next up, I'm going to talk about Zuko and Katara. Never liked it. I know all the Zutara shippers are now just suddenly like, excuse me? Yeah, I've never liked it. It's non-canon. It never was meant to be canon. Although I know, yes, that Mike and Brian did pitch think of the idea of putting Zuko with Katara, but then they were like, nah, doesn't make sense. So, it just feels like it just feels like, and maybe it's just because there's just a flood of it in the Avatar fandom. Maybe that could be the case. But I am going to be honest. I do not I've never thought of any appeal to it. It just felt like Bella and Edward for Avatar fans. That's what it really was to me. It was just more of Bella and Edward fans than anything else. And also, it just felt like all of the fan fiction, all of it just feels wrong. And maybe that's why I don't like it, is because fan fiction writers just make it just Bella and Edward, but in the Avatar universe. I hate it. I hate all of it. I guarantee you half the people who do book talk authors and, who are book talk authors probably wrote some Zutara fanfiction in their life. I promise you that. Go read, and I only know about this because my girlfriend reads the series. Go read any of the Court of whatever and whatever. It's a it's a book where the fairies are fucking humans. It's a whole thing. Go read the whole Court of Blood and Roses or whatever the hell it's called. Go read that. And tell me that's not like Zuko and Zutara inspired. Anyway. So now I'm going to go through some comic book ones. Jean and Wolverine. Never liked it. I've always been more of Jean and Scott. Also, Storm and Wolverine, way better. Storm and Wolverine are way better for each other. It's way more, the personalities match more. Also, it just felt kind of creepy. Logan was they always made Logan the creeper with that stuff with Jean. And yes, I know, Scott did cheat on her with Emma. I'm aware. Scott's not perfect either. Although, if I'm being honest, I do prefer Scott with Emma. Fight me. Anyway, Spider-Man and Black Cat. None of it's good. It's just Felicia is just Peter's booty call, and it's really demeaning to her. It's really just kind of sucks, because that's what it feels like with the new run, that they're hinting that Spider-Man's gonna go date Felicia again, and it's just more of a booty call kind of thing, and it's just like, man, I don't like that. That's all Felicia has sadly been in Peter's life, is just the fun booty call whenever he's not dating someone. It always felt wrong to me. Black Cat can be, I enjoy Black Cat as her own character, but, it just feels like every writer just wants to be like, well, he's not with Mary Jane right now. He can go bang Black Cat. Yeah. Next up, Superman and Wonder Woman. This is just another boring pairing. It also is the reason why it to me it's boring is that we have the two most powerful characters dating, and none of it is interesting. What makes Superman and Lois, and also Steve and Diana, Steve Trevor and Diana interesting, because it's mortal people who have found love with godlike beings and can temper them with humanity. That's I think the core of what everyone forgets. If you just put Superman and Wonder Woman, what are they getting out of it with each other? Nothing. And finally, everyone in Starverses. Yeah, literally every pairing in Starverses is awful. Starco is awful. Tom Star is awful. Yeah, it's all bad because you can say, and I like Tom. I've come around, like, I've defended Tom multiple times, but even then I look back and go, man, Tom was really awful when he wasn't with Star and tried to, ruin Marco's life at the time, and then just inevitably brought them together. Also, the whole will they, won't they shit with Star and Marco is, of course, the bane of my goddamn existence, and one of the reasons why I didn't bother with Haley's on it. Fucking despise that. Also, Marco is no saint either. Of like any girl he tried to date was just, a stepping stone for him to get to Star. I will say I like Marco and Hekapoo because that one, like you had to have imagined you cannot, and you can also not convince me otherwise. But I'm pretty goddamn sure, and I think we can all agree, Marco probably fucked Hekapoo in the Never Zone when he was in the Never Zone. They definitely fucked. There's no way you can look at that final interaction when she's making the scissors for him. Giggity. When she's making those dimensional scissors for him, and their dialogue between the two of them, and also the dialogue afterwards, I'm like, oh, they definitely fucked. At some point, they absolutely banged. And even then, that was that's also incredibly fucked. So everyone in Starvar, it's awful. It's just fucking awful. The closest is like Jackie and Chloe. Yeah. Also, as a addendum, I'm also going to add one more as a bonus, as like a dishonorable mention. Ladybug and Cat Noir. Marinette is a obsessive stalker whose character gets reset every episode, and Adrian deserves Chloe. There, I said what I said. Anyway, so there you go, guys. Once again, I'd like to thank Lamont Benson for this Patreon request. And yeah, like I said, if there's any of these ships I just mentioned that you like, that's totally fine. I am not saying you're stupid or anything like that. These are just ships I just don't, for personal reasons, I don't personally vibe with. So yeah, if you like them, totally fine. More power to you. I just do not like them, just for the reasons I've given, and more. I didn't want to make this video too long. So yeah, if you guys tell me in the comments below, what are your thoughts on these ships I've mentioned, and also, what are some other ships that you don't like personally? Just comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time, the Multiverse.